Hello, this is Dr. Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, four-time national judo champion, author, motivational speaker, and coach. And right now, I want to ask you a question, something that is, I know is on your mind, something that has been on my mind, something that is going to make you slightly uncomfortable, but you need to ask yourself this particular question. I've asked myself this particular question, and it has changed the way that I govern myself. It has also changed the way it's changed my group of friends. Now, there have been studies done that have shown that people in a certain socioeconomic bracket hang around like people. Beverly Daniel Tatum wrote a book called Why Do All the Black Kids Sit in the Cafeteria Together? And all the black kids sit in the cafeteria together, the same reason that all the white kids sit in the cafeteria together, because they're around people who they feel comfortable with. My question to you is obesity contagious? Is obesity contagious? Now, anytime that you're eating, you're around people who are eating like you're eating. They're usually eating the same menu, they're eating the same foods, they're eating the same things, they enjoy the same stuff. When you go to the Chinese buffet, you go to the Chinese buffet with other people who enjoy Chinese food at the Chinese buffet. If you go to a place like Elevation Burger that sells organic burgers, you're in there with other people who like to eat organic fed cows or beef. If you are at a Thai restaurant, you go to a Thai restaurant, people who like Thai food. You go to a sushi restaurant, you go to a sushi restaurant, people who like sushi food. If you are around people who eat spaghetti and meatballs and big pizza, then those are the people that eat spaghetti and meatballs and big pizza. If you're around individuals that like tilapia and green beans and fresh fruits, then you hang around those people. If you're a runner, normally runners hang around runners, and they have running groups, and they meet on Sunday, and they run, they do long runs. If you're a church person, you hang around people in church. You go to church meetings, you go to Bible study, you go to prayer meeting, you have your particular group. Whatever you do, you usually hang around those people who are in harmony with the thing that you do. So, my question to you is obesity contagious? Now, a lot of people don't like to use the F word, the F word, the FAT word, the word fat. People don't like to describe their condition by using the word fat. The word fat has been likened to the word that they no longer use in the industry, retard. For people who were retarded in the learning process, something that was used in the 60s is no longer used now. Like they went from the word black to Negro to Afro-American to African-American to I don't know what they use now. But everybody's changed the name of the particular thing. So the person who is fat doesn't want to be called fat. Just like the person who is a drug addict would much rather tell them that they just have a drug issue or a drug problem, or they are slightly addicted to something. They don't want to be called a junkie. They don't want to be called the thing. Now, have no problem with that. Alcoholics don't want to be called alcoholics, but they are alcoholics. And people who are fat don't want to be called fat. They want to be called overweight, or saying that they have a challenge with gravity. No problem. Don't mind. But what we have to do is we have to address the problem with the situation. If you are overweight, is it because you've been tricked by the food industry? Is it because you eat too much? Is it because you eat the wrong thing? Is it because you don't know? Or is it because you hang around people who eat like you? The question that I have for you is obesity contagious? If you do find yourself being obese or slightly overweight or gravity challenged or fat or any of the words that you don't like, do you hang around other people who look like you, who eat like you, who govern themselves like you? Because if you do, it may be because you're hanging around those particular people that you have your particular situation, your particular circumstance, and your particular thing. Now, if you hung around some different people, is it possible that you might govern yourself differently, do things differently, behave differently, and therefore look differently? Now, so my question to you is obesity contagious? I normally don't necessarily hang around people who are gravity challenged, who are very overweight, who are fat, who are somewhat obese. I just don't. Why? My life has been fashioned and created in such that I am very, very health conscious. I go to the gym, I hang out with people who are in shape, I do marathons, I do half marathons. I change my group purposely. Now, there are some people who say, oh man, you're separating yourself. You're a segregationist, you're a separatist. Bob, all of you are, because some of you hang around in certain socioeconomic groups. If you have a home, you will more than likely you had or you have or you will tell the realtor, no, we want to live in a place that has a good school district, i.e. we want to live around people who have money, or we want to live around more white folks, or we want to live in a neighborhood with affluent black folks. No, whatever it is that you want to do, you got to be honest with yourself when you say, I don't want to be around a certain type of people because I want to have a certain thing, because a certain type of people brings about a certain type of thing. Nobody wants to live in a place where there's liquor stores and drug addicts and people selling drugs on the corner and things of that particular nature, or storefront churches or things. You don't want to live in a place like that more often than not if you had a choice. Why? Because you understand that some things are contagious, thought processes, behaviors, etc. You don't want your kid going to Maurice's house because you don't like the way Maurice acts. So the question is Maurice's behavior contagious? Maybe. Why? Because we have this phrase that we use. We say birds of a feather tend to flock together. And if they flock together, they're going to fly together. If they fly together, they're going to hang together. If they fly together, they hang together, they're going to land together. Then that means they're going to go from one place, be in another place, and still be in the same situation because they're with that flock. So if you don't want to look like that flock or be like that flock or get categorized like with that flock, you need to stop flocking around with that flock. Because when you flock around with that flock, you're going to be flocked up. And that's what happens to some of you who do your thing with these people, and then you say, man, maybe obesity is contagious. So what do I need to do? Well, first and foremost, if you believe that obesity is contagious, you may have to change your thought processes about eating. And then you might have to get a new group and not separate yourself from more people because you don't want to be around them, or you're a separationist or segregationist or anything in that particular nature. It's because you're trying to do something different. You're trying to do a new thing. If you're trying to do a new thing, you have to get with a new flock. And you can't flock around the old flock. You got to flock with the new flock, or you're gonna get flocked up. So if you want to fly differently and get in a different location and people from different people, you have to change your process, your mental process, your cognitive process, how you think about food. And first and foremost, how you need to do that, you need to get some education. So just find a different bird and see how they're flying. And ask, hey man, do you mind if I fly with you for a week? He said, hey man, no problem. You can fly with me. Now, when you fly with that bird, you can't get upset with that bird's flight path, where they're going, how they do it, how they fly. Their takeoff is a little bit different than you because they're doing their thing and you're there to learn their thing, not impose your thing on them. And if you don't want to flock with them, you can tell them to flock off, or you can go back with your other flock. Super. It's easy. But my question for you is, obesity contagious? Well, if you read the research, the answer is 100% yes. Obesity is contagious. Does that mean I need to remove myself from obese people? Well, that ain't right, Dr. Ferguson. Well, do you hang around? Do you make it your business to hang around rapists? Do you make it your business to hang around people who steal? Do you make it your business to hang around people who kill? Do you make it your business to hang around people who break into people's homes? No, you don't. You don't do that on purpose. Why? Well, I don't have that in the cup. Right. That's my point. It's my point. So remove the whole political, not politically correct thing from my particular talk and get down to the crux of the matter, which is obesity is contagious. So if you go to church on Sunday and you find yourself hanging downstairs after church because they're serving food down there, just stop for a second and look at everybody. If they don't look how you desire to look, then don't sit down and eat. Pick a different spot to go in fellowship. Get around some different people. Start flocking around with a different flock. I give my clients, my personal clients that I coach on weight loss and health and wellness, I give them all the same exercise within the 12 or 16 week process. I give them the walking program for the half marathon. And it has nothing to do with the half marathon. People who have not done a half marathon before, they don't really realize when they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, that there are other people out there too. But they never see those people because they're sleeping. But when they get out there and they walk, they notice that there are other people out there who look differently, who behave differently. They'll start seeing the same people in the morning at 5:30, at 5:15. They'll start seeing the same people in the gym. They'll start seeing the same people on the road. They'll also start talking to different people who have done marathons and half marathons on a social network. Their conversations will change. Their eating begins to change. They'll do a practice 5K race and talk with different people. Then they'll do a 10K. Then when they get to the half marathon, they'll notice in some races like the Miami ING race, there's 45,000 people out there in the morning doing a half marathon or marathon. There's a whole population of people out there that they didn't recognize that they need to get with. There's a different flock that they can fly with. There's a different flock that they can flock around with. And when they see that, it's empowering. It creates personal change because they're around some different people and they pick up different behaviors and they've adopted a different mindset. So yes, half marathons are contagious. Walking is contagious. Running is contagious. If you have a good friend, you notice that your friend probably says some of the phrases that you say, and you say some of the phrases that your friend says, because some of that stuff is contagious.
Visit www.coffeewithrhadi.com and get your copy of Coffee with Rhadi today.